Classic T Reviewer, and I just saw this most awesome movie just recently called Star Wars The Force Awakens. And I decided to do something that most people didn't do. Is back in 1960s, we were going to the space race. You know, we were going with Russia until we finally landed on the moon in 1969. And you're thinking, well, what does this have to do with anything? Well, I want to talk about science fiction from the 1960s. Shows, you know, that were all over. I mean, science fiction was huge during that point. You know, and this is the decade before Star Wars ever hit the theaters. So I'm here today to talk about it, the anthology show, The Outer Limits, which ran from 1963 to 1965. This show is really cool because unlike a lot of the shows, you know, of course you have the same characters, or if you just don't like an episode, you know, like say there's series you don't like or something, you're covered. New characters every week. I mean, that is awesome. And, you know, there's a lot of great episodes in this. Such as The Sixth Finger, with Edward Mulhare, Demon with the Glass Hand. I don't want to spoil that one because it is an awesome episode. There's a surprise at the end you won't see coming. There's Soldier, which was also made into a movie by Kurt Russell called Soldier, written by Harlan Ellison. There's Second Chance. They did episodes about alien abduction. This show, for that time, on the ABC network, I mean, it was competing with The Twilight Zone. It never reached that popularity. It was only on for 2 years. But I'm glad we got it. Because, I mean, the Galaxy Beam was the pilot episode that they used. And I just love that because it's a modern day version of chasing the monster. And the alien is not a bad guy. You know, he's a good guy. But it shows the primitives of humans and how stupid we can be when we don't understand things. You know, William Shatner did an episode called Cold Hands, Warm Heart, which is a very touching episode where he goes up into space and everything touches is hot. You know, and it's cold. I mean, it's just an awesome episode. There's an episode, you know, about a bunch of insect criminals, which I know Super Friends ripped off. And for those of you interested, I will get to Super Friends sometime, maybe in May or so, somewhere in there. I'll get to it. Don't worry about it. Don't forget, I'll get it. But this was a show that I really like because, as you can tell, I'm into science fiction. I like Star Wars. I really love the 6 Million Dollar Man. Actually, I like the 6 Million Dollar Man more than I like Star Wars. But the point is, this show was unlike the Twilight Zone, which gave you like the ghosts and it had like everything. This show was just straight ass science fiction, and I'm glad we got it. It's too bad it just couldn't compete against Twilight Zone. They just had so many great episodes, and it's really hard to name them all because I never saw an episode that was bad. The Man Who Never Was Born with Martin Landau is such a touching episode. I mean, it's about, you know, a guy from the future. He's a mutant, you know, hunchback. And he has to go back in time to stop humanity from having this nuclear holocaust. And I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it, but it's great. You know, the last episode ended with a 2-part episode. And basically, you know, the show just basically got up and canceled. And it's really sad. It really is. I really wish the show would have went on for at least 5 like the Twilight Zone did. And there were other shows like, you know, Science Fiction Theater, which George McFly was a fan of. If any of you remember that from that movie. But this show had a lot, I mean, to going for it. And I have not seen an episode I didn't like. It's an awesome show. I just really wish it would have lasted longer. It would have lots of notable guest stars such as William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. Which Leonard Nimoy did an episode called Cold Hands, Warm Heart. He did iRobot. Another touching episode. These episodes were all pretty much touching. You kind of got to know these characters in just an hour's time. And it wasn't like, oh, like the 6-year-old man, he's coming back, Steve's coming back next week. No. You have this hour and that's it. That's the end of these characters. And I really have not a lot more I could say about this show. It gets a big thumbs up in my opinion. And I know some of you might not, oh, it's in black and white. Well, get past it and watch it for the story, for the acting. You will find a lot of stuff you'll like about it. I mean, it had a lot of legendaries. Robert Culp, Leonard Nimoy, William Shatner. It had a lot of great classic actors in it. So, I would highly recommend it. Check it out. So, until next time, trust me, I know what I'm reviewing.